You know, we as Americans, we're very rich compared to the population of the world, and yet we're very poor. We're poor in the sense that we're just, in general, you know, unhappy. Where they have no money. They're very poor, but yet they're incredibly wealthy with and rich with their happiness, with their joy. We don't need a lot of material possessions in order to be happy. That here are people who are working incredibly hard for their life. I mean, that depending on the weather, depending on the season, what their harvest is going to be, they may only get one meal a day. Yeah, everything in their life is difficult. There's not one thing that really comes easy. Where for us, how often do we think about where our food comes from, or you know, what am I going to eat? It's more like, oh, what am I going to eat tonight, not am I going to eat tonight? Our mission was to help those in need, and in this case, it was the village of Dabagat in the Philippines. Hello, I'm Kirk Miller. I'm the son of James Miller, who has been over to the Philippines several times and was the one that originally got me to go over several years ago on the water project.
I'm James Miller from Ohio, and this is Enel Paul from the Philippines. She grew up in the village where we have done most all of our work at.
I became the photographer, so then I was to document kind of the progress and also to provide pictures for these guys who are busy working, so that they could have something to take home rather than, you know, them taking like a couple of shots in between trying to stay busy and being productive in their work. So it was a job that they appreciated, you know, that they could have pictures, but also one that I could practice my skill as a photographer. So over the course of several weeks, the villagers prepped for our arrival, carrying sand, gravel, rebar, concrete by hand over a mile from the river up to the project site. The reason we went to Dabagat was a lack of a good water source. The water they were getting was coming from a contaminated reservoir. The reservoir was made of cinder block, about 4 foot in length and width by 7 foot high, with a cement plaster on the inside. Over time, the reservoir began leaking, and one of the locals tried to fix it with an epoxy that was supposed to be mixed into the cement, but instead it was used like a paint. The chemicals from the epoxy slowly started leaching into what little water there was, and the villagers were getting sick from it.
We're downriver from her village, and we put a water system in there. We redid the catch basin where the water comes to, where we gathered it at, ran it from there into a reservoir that we poured, and from the reservoir then it was down through the village there.
It's not only a water for us, but it's like bringing living water from God. So, and it's really like it's right, cut.
So how did this freshwater source impact the village of Toboggan? I can't say for sure, but what I saw were tears and smiles. No longer would they have to walk half an hour to fill buckets with water.